greater classical saxophonist. Yeah, you know what? Mark my words. About halfway through the thing. Jack is on. Not me. I'll be a little too chilly if I do that.
So I was just saying, usually by now, I'll see people are coming.
They're coming, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there are people who decided they don't
Oh,
want
absolutely.
to come.
The weather, yeah.
And they're going to watch on live stream.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's
As long as they're
around-
more in the crowd than they're on stage, we're okay.
There you
They
go.
will already increase it.
That's right.
They,
That's right.
You're very safe. And is that something that's available for a while afterwards?
It's on the church's St. Luke's Brockport.com.
Okay.
And you can click it on anytime you want.
I'll share that later. I had some friends down in North Carolina who were
The
interested.
first one was a trio, and they already have, I checked this morning, 143 hits.
That's awesome.
So that was the,
We'll have more.
That's right. I'll go on it tonight and
but it
tomorrow.
builds.
Yeah,
When they
it
started,
really
it was
does.
not that many, and every time I look, it's more.
That's one of the things
And
that,
he'll leave it out.
that's one of the things that already had gotten started before the pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit and people were just uploading stuff all the time. But even, I remember we did a live stream of my last faculty recital before we had to close the college. And honestly, I think there were over 200. So, in addition to the people who were in the room, and we had a great crowd in there. And
It's just something interesting about people's ways of listening to music.
Yeah.
And what they want to listen to music.
Well, there's the convenience factor of, being able to check it out.
I do it myself
So
sometimes. It's a long beat,
Yep.
and
Yep.
every one of those Win Ensemble concerts is always on Friday or Saturday, and I'm just beat.
Sometimes I set up my iPad in the kitchen. and do
Yep,
everything.
Right.
there you go.
Right.
Same way.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. Cat in my lap. I'm listening to Win Ensemble.
Why should you drive to a place?
Right.
I'm like, sorry, Tim, the cat wins. I'm still listening to your Wind Ensemble, but the cat wins. Oh.
So Gary will be the welcome on it.
MC.
And he introduces Brenda, and Brenda will say something welcoming to the
Oh,
two
very
of
nice.
you, explanatory.
Aw.
Then when we count down,
The voice of,
the voice of music.
yeah.
And she probably, she was here this morning for church, probably will walk in about 3 minutes.
That's okay.
Go girl.
That's okay.
But she's,
She'll be here.
Everything today will be relaxed.
in the first one we did not clear enough stuff. And now we've got it down better that this stuff gets moved off to the side.
Sure.
It's more of a
Yeah.
presenting place.
That's great. You got the sun beaming through the windows today. And,
Look at this.
Yep.
It's just so.
That's
I took pictures on Thursday. The sun was shining, and I posted on Facebook, and I said, "My practice room yesterday," and people are just like, "Oh my gosh, that's so
Tiffany windows,
beautiful!"
huh?
I know. And one of our former Hope students, she lives just down the road, and she says, "I love that church door." And she actually private messaged me. She said, "Oh, it's a tight playing in his orchestra."
Come on this side.
And she said, "But it just lives like 3 minutes down the road." And I said,
Is she
"Well,
coming?
yeah, you should come." She never answered. So, she's a sweetheart. I don't know if she and her husband might have something.
I don't know if Gary came back and told you. We had originally planned on having upstairs a reception and meet people, but that's too complicated for so people will be invited to come and just talk to you.
And we both said, because our
Totally changed. Totally changed.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I did look, even before I came into work, because I didn't know.
It just changed. I looked
And see-
on their website this morning.
And our church, we love one of them is the cancer. And Allegheny County is now for making it. It's such an intergenerational church. And we have so many.
There ought to be one.
Yeah, and so what we said is it's optional, but please don't judge it and go to something.
That's the
Like,
answer.
yeah, like I haven't been to watch my lots of But if it's too cold, then they move inside. So then I would this morning I was like, planning to and it was raining, and then it cleared up. But by that time I was like, I think I should just stay home and keep it high, listen, you know. And it's the one day in ages that I have radios for the outside. So I think my colors are
If this is a good sign,
yeah, I think so too.
we're focusing and we'll start in about a minute.
This way, thank you.
Hello.
Oh, front and center, I could see that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and it's only,
You gonna make your copy?
there you go.
We ran out of programs and Brenda's copies. So we'll just be a couple
That's a good
minutes
problem.
late. Yeah, it's a great problem.
You gonna make copies?
Should have told her just do the front page. She doesn't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, because she was gonna introduce them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we haven't had good luck.
We'll wait just a couple more minutes
Weather. Then COVID.
until the wind blows some additional folks in. So talk amongst yourselves until then. Do you have anything to say, Bill?
Sounds like Mary Ellen.
She's here. She's here. I took that line from her. She's right here. Music director. I can do that. I know. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here on a, needless to say, a windy afternoon. Oh my gosh. When I left my place, the shingles are coming off the barn, and no exaggeration, in groups of that size. So we're going to have a lot of work to do in a not too distant future, fixing that roof. This is our third Winter Serenades program. My name's Gary Skoog, and I'm one of the committee members who tries to bring you stimulating and educational entertainment, not only during the winter, but also during the Summer Serenades program. And we have Jackie Davis right here. She's the chairperson of our committee. Brenda Tremblay in the back, and she's our music director here at St. Luke's Church, and she's going to, you'll hear from her in a moment. And Kathy Christensen, who is our liaison to St. Luke's Church and also the Village of Brockport Board of Trustees, and helps us a lot with our Summer Serenades and also with this program today in the Winter Serenades program. And Terry Carbone right here in front, Brockport Central School District Board of Education President and stalwart committee member as well. Pat Coots, who's our fourth member on the committee, she is in Florida, coming back when? 15th or 13th soon. So she'll probably be watching. Thank you, donors, for making these events possible. We have a very generous community, both in terms of business people and individuals and families who help to make our concert season exist, if you will. And we thank the donors each and every time. March 27th is our next program, so put that on your calendar. It's on the back of your program that you have here, and we want to make sure that you have that. This time, Brenda.
Welcome. I just wanted to say a couple of very quick things. Hi to our streamers. I'm Brenda Trombley, the music director here. Actually, three short things. Number one, if you need to use the restroom, it's up the ramp through the door. You can, if you like, go around the side of the church as well. There's another entrance on State Street. So that's thing one. Thing two, coming here, I was reminded of the book World Made by Hand by James Kunstler. Has anybody read that book? He went to SUNY Brockport, and he loved this village, and he wrote this kind of futuristic novel about what would happen in an apocalyptic world where the electricity would go out. And musicians were like wizards because no matter what happened, they could make music. So the main character, who was an IT guy before the global emergency, becomes like everyone wants him at his party because he can make music. So all of that is to say, if the lights do flicker and go out, we are going to keep going. We are wind-powered and rain-powered. And there was another thing I wanted to mention, and I can't remember what it was. So, one more thing. Looking at this program, I just wanted to say everything here is, I believe, from the 19th and 20th century. Does anyone know why? Yes! Ding, 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 ding! All right, so you're hearing a relatively new instrument in classical music, and enjoy. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the Serenades Committee, the Village of Brockport, for having us back here. It seems like every time we're scheduled, there's a weather event of some sort. The first time, I think it was snow and wind that canceled everything, and then a couple of years ago, this thing called COVID struck, actually about 2 years ago, next week, which is when we were scheduled to also perform. So we're glad to be back here. It's a good time, and I'm thankful for all of you for being here today, friends, family, strangers, and certainly for my friend Sharon, who is playing with me this afternoon, I guess. We get together, and right off the bat, we're able to put this together in just a couple of rehearsals. So I hope that you will appreciate her as much as I do here this afternoon. The first piece is a little French piece. It's called Sicilian, written by a composer named Pierre Lantier. written for Marcel Mule, who was the founding father of saxophone in France in the 1930s and 40s. Hope you enjoy. Next selection is one of the first pieces that was probably written for saxophone by another French composer, Saint-Gelais, who's a good friend of the inventor of our saxophone, A.L. Sax. He wrote this piece along with the very first saxophone quartet that was ever made back in the 1860s. It kind of has three parts to it. There's an introduction, a theme, and a variations that sort of has that heavy mid-1800s romantic schmaltzy sort of feel. It starts off a little slow, and there's a couple little variations that are enjoyable to play and hopefully a lot of fun to listen to. Saint-Gelais' Fantasy Brillante. selection that we'll play for you today is called Sonatine Sportive, written by a composer born in Russia but had U.S. citizenship in 1958 or so. Chupnin was a composition teacher, piano teacher at DePaul University in Chicago. And he wrote this piece. There's an interesting interview I heard. He wrote this to get away from the major instruments that had been featured for years and years. The flute, the clarinet, the violin, some of these other, he called them the lions of the concerto world that were always featured. And he took some risks and actually wrote something, a concerto for timpani and symphony orchestra, concerto for saxophone, and I believe I read someplace a piece for harmonica and symphony orchestra too. So took some chances there and gave some other lesser known instruments a chance to be heard. This piece is actually 3 different movements, and he wanted to feature the idea of sport in this and sort of the unplanned or unidentified ending of a piece of music. Anytime there's a game of chance, whether it's a baseball game or a boxing match or a swim meet or a race or whatever that might be, you never know who's going to end. In this piece, the first movement is to represent a boxing match, where the piano player probably wins. The second movement represents the rest time. He's thinking kind of between sets of a tennis match. And then the last movement is supposed to represent a race, and the piano probably finishes first. So anyway, and intentionally, if we do this right. So Sonatine Sportive, and I have to say that on a personal note, this has become a little bit more relevant in the last week or so, having attended the New York State Swim Championships that my son was part of, and seeing the high-level athletes who are competing there, and recognizing that no matter what it is, there are always people who are working hard, sometimes working harder, and it's a really, really neat thing to see that. So we are going to have a little competition here. Sharon wins, but we're going to have this little competition in this Russian-inspired but written for a German saxophonist, actually. So here is Sonatine Sportive.
Thank
This next selection is written just for saxophone, without piano. She definitely deserves a little bit of a break after all of that. Not just the music. Anyway, but she plays so well. It bails me out. This piece, you'll see there are 2 dates written next to it on the program. The program indicates that Boza wrote these as a series of etudes. One was for, actually they were both for flute originally, and then saxophonists like to steal from pretty much everybody we can. It's kind of like marimbas as well. They like to steal whatever music they can find from other people. So these started out as a pair of etudes. The first part of it is called improvisation, which is supposed to just kind of seem like it's just floating, that there isn't music written, and offers some interesting challenges that way. The second piece is very much a technical piece, similar to a Flight of the Bumblebee kind of action that goes on. I remember looking at these pieces when I was an undergrad, and my teacher said, it's not worth the effort to do these. And today I'm kind of feeling that way. As I've gone through these pieces and thought about the way I've practiced them over the years, especially the second movement, I think having grown and experienced different things has me playing things and thinking about things in a different sort of way. In this regard, I'm thinking that the bumblebee needs some rests from time to time. So if you're familiar with Flight of the Bumblebee, it's just constant motion. I'm taking a little different kind of interpretation with this, taking a little bit of a risk for anybody who knows this repertoire, who may be live streaming, or any of you who are sitting here who might know this piece. But I feel like the music needs to breathe in some places, as do I. So I hope that you'll appreciate these 2 things for what they are. The first is a little crazy, a little out there. But the second piece, I think in particular, you'll find to be energetic and hopefully exciting, and you can picture a bee taking some rests from time to time. Improvisation and caprice. tells me it was worth it. Thank you. I need to refer to some notes for this next piece. This piece, written by Robert Musinski, was written in 1970 and premiered at what they called, probably about the geekiest thing in the world, the World Saxophone Congress. A meeting of all of the world's best saxophonists in 1970 who were teaching at higher education. This was originally conceived as a two-movement piece, which it is a two-movement piece, instead of being called sonata. The composer thought that the titles Desert Sketches or Desert Serenade maybe fit better. Musinski was actually a student of Churpnin in DePaul University, and so there may be some of those heavier Russian influences there, and Musinski ended up living in Arizona, teaching at the University of Arizona, and towards the end of his life sort of becoming a recluse and away from the music community as he finished that. This is a standard work in saxophone repertoire. The first movement is kind of deep and brooding. The second movement is highly energetic, offers some interesting jazz harmonies, some great interpretations, in a little spot that we think really sounds like Gershwin. He kind of ripped off Gershwin in one spot, so at least. So, Musinski Sonata. I hope you enjoy. Those are the sketches. It's more enduring. Nobody would play it if it was that. All right, let's do this. This next piece, written by Cyril Irving Glick, I first heard probably about 25 or 7 years ago. Originally written for clarinet, and I told you before, saxophonists like to steal things, and so this was stolen for us, and not rearranged, just played on tenor saxophone instead of clarinet. They're playing the same key, so it makes it very convenient for us to borrow. Of course, I'll be playing this on tenor saxophone instead of alto saxophone. There are 4 movements of this. Each of them is supposed to represent part of Cyril Irving Glick's childhood, having grown up in a Jewish household. And I'll tell you the names of the movements. The first is cantoral chant, which is very free and very much a conversation between Sharon and me. The second movement is called Hasidic dance. The third movement is aura, and the final movement that we'll play today is circle dance. Glick wrote 6 of these Hasidic dance, Sweet Herbrakes pieces for all different instruments, starting in about 1960 through the early 1970s, anyways, when he completed his last one. Known as one of Canada's greatest composers, has all kinds of accolades. I honestly have not heard anything other than this piece played by him. I don't know if anybody else has had that or not, or heard anything by him or not, but we really like this piece. It's swung to relapse very, very nicely. So, Sweet Herbrake, Cantoral Chant, Hasidic Dance, Aura, and Circle Dance. That's right. As long as we can see.
As long as we can see.
And you have cell phone flashlights to help us out. We're good. so much for the Serenades Committee for hosting us, for hosting the space, for keeping the arts alive through the pandemic, and certainly through the summertime, and all the work they do behind the scenes, and certainly to the Village of Brockport as well, and also to you for coming and supporting live music, wherever it may be. Certainly appreciate that very, very much. I need to put a special shout out to the horn doctor, who was the repair person, used to be in Brockport and moved to Avon. On Thursday I went to practice and my saxophone wasn't working, and I was able to put a little shim of masking tape in there, and I gave a call, a frantic call, because I thought, well, I'm heading out to Ithaca, I could find a repair person there with the School of Music, and he said, I'll come and take care of you. So I trust him much more than I trust 3M masking tape, and he's gotten me through this today. So I want to make sure that I give a special shout out to Mike Snyder as well. How about another round of applause for Sharon? Sharon and I met in Greensboro, North Carolina when I was a master's student, and hadn't crossed paths for years and years, and we were at a music conference probably a decade or more ago, and just walking by each other, and she stopped me probably, and said, hey, we need to do something. And so a few years ago when we were asked to first come here, we put something together, and I'm so grateful. She's only an hour and 15 minutes away or so, and so grateful that we had the chance to perform, collaborate together. This wouldn't be possible without all of her hard work. So thank you, and thank you some more, Sharon, for that. O'Danny Boy is London Derriere, O'Danny Boy. St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so this seemed to be an appropriate way for us to conclude here today. So thank you very much once again. I understand there will be refreshments afterwards. Is that?
There will be no refreshments.
No refreshments. However, feel free to mingle.
But free to mingle up here, and people can come up and say hello to you and that kind of thing.
Great. So feel free to stop by if you feel so inclined. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Time for one more? That's the real thing. Thank you so much.
Feel free to come up and go through it. Stay full. Your own.
I don't know what happened to you, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Gary.